What is up, Deadlockers? It's the 20th of August, and this is the Deadlockers tier list update. Ooh. Couldn't think of any other intro. That'll do. Cool. How's it going, boys? Gav, how are you? Mike, how are you? All good?
Very well, thank you.
Fantastic. It's like someone we know who says that word a lot. We can't reveal who. Maybe in a future episode there'll be a reveal over who says fantastic all the time. But for now, that will stay as an inside joke. Have you guys been playing the game much? I hope so. Well, I know, Mike, you have, because I played with you 24/7. But Gav, you've had your fair share of games, right?
I played most days. Yeah, in between juggling, working, everything. I've managed to get in, and if I'm not playing, I'm watching either you or Mike play.
Yeah, it's true. Mike, how about you with your last couple of weeks of Deadlock?
I think the last patch was probably more of a shake-up than most of the others.
Why? What? As in the one that just passed a week ago?
Not the... Well, yeah, generally. The map changes... They finally gave McGinnis a bit of love. But...
and a few other bits and bobs. Yeah, we'll go through it as we go, but we had some pretty decent feedback from the community for these tier lists, so we thought, you know what? Screw it, let's do another one. So unfortunately, you got to watch us for however long. But hopefully you can tolerate our stupid British and Irish accents. That's as far as it goes. Cool. So let's kick off into the tier list. Right, let's chat Abrams. It's kind of annoying actually that we do it in alphabetical because it means that we have to talk about this strange-looking human/demon.
Yeah.
Every single time.
One of my main characters. Someone I frequent a lot, despite the pain associated with it.
So he had quite an omission from the like the updates, right? Like there wasn't too much. There was a little bit of a fix for seismic impact, but and a bit of a damage reduction, but like not relatively a miss in terms of changes. Have you played him since the patch?
I think 12 games, maybe 10 games. Because I've been playing another character later on in the list a lot as well, but his ult feels like it's improved. I feel it feels a bit more impactful. His charge is definitely better, even though some of the you'll see in the patch notes they corrected the direction that sometimes the character faces off. You know, that you charge into them and it kind of magnetizes them a bit to the left or the right. They fixed that. And then they reduce some of the damage that comes off the charge, but it doesn't really matter because it's fixed. And when you've got it in the later stages, it stuns them and everything too. He's seemed to be a bit better. He's definitely improved a bit overall, but he's still it's too much of a pea shooter in the early, in the laning phase. He's not impactful enough in the laning phase. I still struggle a bit with him there. I really feel like I come into it later on, but yeah, he does. He feels better, I must say.
Yeah, I don't think there was like one small change with melee life still that impacted his laning. I think that was mainly for him and a couple others in terms of sustaining in lane. Otherwise, like who's buying that item? And then I think in terms of like his actual play, I think everyone's moved around him and he hasn't been too impacted. And I think the tower change had more of an impact on him than the rest of it, because the reason characters like Abrams I don't think were like an A tier is because his movement around the map was pretty poor, and it meant that he couldn't go and deal with pushes and he couldn't deal with like rats and all of that kind of stuff. So he was left to defend towers on his own, and he couldn't really push out and hit towers. So I don't know, like the new tower changes I think actually had a benefit to him. I don't know what you think, Mike.
Yeah, I think it's partly that and other heroes being nerfed. Like normally in games like this, if everyone else gets nerfed and he doesn't, then he's definitely climbing up slowly. But again, he's very slow. He still feels the same. You rarely see one dominate a game. Like, you're rarely saying, "Oh, this Abrams is
owning the game.
winning
Yeah.
this game."
I've seen a couple
Nope.
more pop off more recently than the previous patch though. I've seen a couple of times. I think his ultimate's more impactful. There's a couple of
Really?
There's a couple of changes that I've seen. For example, now they've fixed slowing hex. It means that there's like not something.
It's less of a catch-all.
Yeah. So now ultis like Abrams is a little bit more strong in the game. So I think he's in a little bit of a better spot. Didn't we put him in high B last time? Let me just quickly check the previous patch. Yeah, we did. We kind of he started off at high B and then he moved lower down. I think he's bottom of A. Personally, I don't know, Mike. It sounds like you're a bit more bearish on him.
Bottom of A. Well, I think the decay nerf obviously hugely helps him. Because that's a very cheap item that you can get
super cheap
very early, and then you've ruined his whole gameplay really. It's just the thing about him is it's relative to the other characters. There's better ratters in general, but I suppose the only tanks you're really competing with are Kelvin, Mo, and Krill.
Kelvin got a huge nerve. I actually so this thing, and also if you think about his counters, like Kelvin was a bit of a counter in the sense that you could get in his face and then use your beam to like slow him down, disarm him, etc. And obviously now they've changed that. That's a big kind of counter wiped off the map. And then I mean, who else is countering him? Like Paradox, they've moved his beam, moved the carbine, so it's not as strong anymore. It's on a longer cooldown, does less slow. I mean, you got someone like Lady Geist, but I feel like overall she's gotten a bit weaker. She doesn't feel as strong. Like who else is there? Like there's other characters that are moving further up. Like Ivy, for example, got mega buffed. And she feels super strong. You get everyone's rushing Siphon Bullets. Siphon Bullets itself got buffed. Now it takes permanent health off of the player. But like outside of that, like I don't know who else really feels that bad against Abrams. Like I think he's pretty good to hold himself 1v1 against everyone, and he's good in team fights, etc. I don't know. He feels slightly stronger because of all of the other changes.
Yeah, I feel like because he was bad for a long time as well, not many people have played him to his full potential. Like items like Locket getting nerfed last patch shows that people are buying that item.
And that item is amazing.
Obviously fantastic on tanks anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean it was amazing. they just it's funny because like we'd really started to buy it, all of us actually, a lot. Especially. Yeah, we can talk a little bit more about this when it comes to Shiv, but all of these casters that are casting a lot and often, it was just like a no-brainer to buy on someone like Abrams because he's just able to sustain for so much longer, especially in lane. So I don't know. Like he feels okay with me. I'm gonna put him at A. I fully expect him to be bottom of A. But I think he feels strong enough in the game that he's actually having quite a big impact. And I don't want. I actually think the tower change has had the biggest impact on him, because previously you really had to go and deal with all of these ratting heroes that are coming around the back. That sounded wrong. That are moving around the positions of at the edges of the map, and Abrams couldn't really deal with it, and he wasn't able to push himself. But now, because that's not as viable, there's a lot more straight up team fighting happening. And I think he is so much in such a better position for these like advantageous team fights. So, okay, anyone else for any more comments on him, or should we move to bebop?
I'll just say because his ult obviously gets more health the more players it hits as well.
Yeah.
In general, you've got to compare him to like tanks like Infernus.
Mm.
So. Yeah, I'd say he's bottom A.
So now we've got Bebop. So Bebop, there was a ton of changes to him specifically. They've changed the way his gun operates, less range, but more of like a more boon, etc. They've also changed like a lot more of his spells. His uppercut is now a different angle, but ultimately his scaling and stuff has gotten a lot better, and he's become a lot better with his ultimate, etc. And also things like sticky bomb radius is increased. Like I've seen a lot of bebops being played, and I think a lot of the item changes and a lot of the way the towers have changed have meant again another person that's like always brawling, always fighting seems more relevant. But I'll let Mike. You can kick us off with what your thoughts are of bebop.
Well, he is the Pudge of Deadlock, where if you don't give him a wide berth, he will snowball. But again, a lot of people aren't buying the right counter items to him. Debuff remover, for example, it takes a large chunk out of his kit, like instantly as well. It's not like you need to do any specific timing, and it doesn't really put you behind because it's 20% weapon damage.
Yeah.
Laser obviously hard to. Not a lot of situations you're going to get it off against good people. And what's left really is grab and his knock up. I think if you land it, you can just kill people in lane.
Yeah, and I think his laning's the strongest bit, but I think with debuff removal still being in the game and so cheap, what is it, 3k?
4,250.
Because you have to buy the initial one. It's so cheap in reality though, in comparison to other negate. Like it completely ruins the hero. So one item and it's like if a bebop comes out of the lane like really really strong, and he's like running around getting kills, all you got to do like a few of you buy that item and he's just completely useless.
Yeah, and because there's so many characters in the game as well, you're bound to be countering someone else's moves with it. It's not like you're gonna not buy it 100% of the time against them. You pretty much are.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's like he's not really got great tower push. I mean, I've seen a lot of people use his ultimate on towers, which is like okay, fine, I get the usage, but he's not really. It's not like he's got good wave clearing, good jungle camp clearing because obviously his bomb does so much. But it's not like he's clearing a wave on the edge of the map and then running back to the team. He's very slow, so he's not being used. He's not really a great clearer, and he's not really a good sieger down a lane. So what is he? He's like a team fight extraordinaire, and you can buy one item. Basically, you're just relying on getting hooked now, and I actually think they've kind of made the hero more, even more reliant on the hook. So I don't know. Gav, you haven't really said too much about him. What's your thoughts?
I think on top of like the item and his configuration perspective, I think it isn't immediately accessible to every player to be very good at hooking and doing the turn and uppercutting with the bomb into the tower and stuff. There is some mechanical skill to it that makes it, harder to place him high to it. He's not exactly the easiest, especially with his slow cooldown or slow start up on his gun too. You have to know what you're doing. You have to be comfortable with him, understand your timings and when to hook. But if you've like Mikey says, if you don't give him a wide berth, if you feed into him and he knows what he's doing, then it's a hard time. But I
think
don't rate him supremely highly though.
I think until they change the fact that you can remove bombs with debuff remover, because I've seen people go echo shard and like double bomb people and stuff, but you literally kill the hero in one hit in one item. So, and it's not even that expensive. 4,250 is not like the to kill a hero dead. It's not like super expensive. So, for that reason alone, I think he sits firmly in B this time round, and I think they've nerfed his laning and they've made him like it looks like they're trying to make him scale, but you've got one item that counters him, so it's it's like It doesn't matter how much he scales into the late game. You need to change that item. Debuff remover probably shouldn't get rid of the bombs. It should get rid of the debuff, but probably not the bombs.
Yeah.
Like it should get rid of the disarm that it adds, but I don't think it should be killing a hero dead. Stopping any of his damage being done is insane. So yeah, that's a bit of an issue. Okay, cool. So Dynamo. Gav, you can kick us off with Dynamo. I don't know if you've seen him too much in your games recently, because I haven't really.
Yeah, I've added him into my roster now too, because recently playing against him is what started me out. I saw that he seems to have quite an enhanced offensive capability now compared to before. It's pretty good now going forward, as well as going back and helping your comrades. He's real tanky, as he was before. He seems to be still good even in the current patch. It's not an issue that things have changed. He's picked a lot too. Fight against him a lot. Although I think now that I'm a bit more seasoned, I don't feel like his ult is as impactful as I maybe used to feel, honestly.
Yeah. Mike?
I still think his ult is one of the best in the game. If you're taking people out of a fight in a chain stun, the range isn't to be sniffed at, even with just the basic Mystic Reach. It's a team fight turner, really. It's sort of like you need to respect him being there with his ult up, and that sort of delay with the new being close to towers now and things like that. You can't really just rat as easily against him, and he's still got the damage to back it up. It's not like he's struggles with farm to get those refresher items, and because
his gun's good for denying and stuff too, and then in Infernus he's got a good equip.
Yeah, I think his one and his just general damage allows him to farm those items. So yeah, I'd still put him high.
Yeah.
Compared to other heroes.
So they nerfed Warpstone a little bit in certain areas, but then they've kind of like reduced its bullet reduced and sprint. Warpstone's like an absolute necessary item on him, and I think also they've done, but they've added Spirit on it, right? So now I think that was a better choice to have Spirit going on like Warpstone, because predominantly you're going to be casters that are going to use it. You know, you've got like Pocket, you've got Dynamo, etc. So I think that's a nice item that they've given him. I think his build-up's really, really strong now, and he goes a lot of people going gun damage into tankiness, and then into like these bigger items like Refresher and Warpstone. I think obviously Black Hole is always a strong ultimate in all of these games, Dota included. But I think I don't think he's top of A like he was. I think he's closer to the bottom. But I still, again, it's a little bit tough. Like we've been playing this new patch for getting close to a week, and I think the biggest change that they made was actually on the towers, and it's changed the dynamics. So a lot of these heroes are now like, there's a lot more team fights being like breaking out. So I think, I struggled to put him anything below A. I think he's really, really strong.
Yeah.
I think he's got a great level 1, and it counters a lot of these, like, it counters people like Lash, it counters people like Warden, Wraith even. I think a lot of these heroes that have Mo and Krill, Pocket, like a lot of these heroes that you need to lock them down for a second or two in lane to get some serious damage off, and then their kind of laning is going to be tough. He can do it. And he does it across the lineup, right? So I think his laning's really strong.
Yeah.
There's a few items I think are just absolutely essential on him, and I think they're movement orientated. I've seen a lot of people going like superior stamina on him, just rolling around, escaping, building him a bit tanky, and being super evasive and super annoying. It's really good. So I never get into a game where I'm like, oh, that ulti wasn't impactful, but at the same time, like it is. I think he's more than just his ultimate now, which is nice.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna place him above Abrams. I think he's a solid A still. That's two patches in a row to see him up there. And now let's talk about everyone's absolutely most despised laner, Grey Talon. Mike, do you want to kick us off?
I still think his traps are like one of his strongest abilities. Obviously, he's got the power shot, but the control you get in lane with his traps alone is crazy. The fact that you can't destroy them, so you sort of automatically gotten a stalemate there. Not the easiest to last hit, but
No.
it's still a quick projectile. It's just not like a massive cone that you can shoot anywhere and it'll hit it. Yeah, I'd still say he's up there, but
Yeah. Gav?
they've only really changed his one, haven't they? Hitbox.
Yeah, they keep changing it down by 10% like each patch.
Yeah, it was huge.
It was huge, but I don't really think, look, yeah, okay, great, they're making it slightly more difficult to land skill shot. Ultimately, you're going to get people that can land it. And the problem isn't, yes, the problem's landing it, but the problem is also the fact that it does ridiculous damage in lane. Really, I think he's able to inert so much pressure on the lane from level 1 as well, and you get extra charge, and then all of a sudden he's got 2 charges on the 1. Then he gets another charge, I think, with level 2 or like the upgrade of it. So you're looking at 3 arrows in the lane at any point in time. He's just flat out bust in this way, and I don't know why they think that that's okay, because for someone that does that much damage to always steamroll their lane, it feels like he's always going to have impact on the game. And he's got good camp clear. He's got good creep clear. He's got good ability to get between the lanes with his jump. He can. The crazy part about him is like he can access a team fight from across the map just by putting his ultimate out. So he's always impactful no matter where he is on the map, because he can join the fight through his ultimate. And I just think his ultimate is probably still the best in the game. So yeah, I think he's ridiculous still, and they haven't changed that. So I don't know, Gav, your thoughts?
Yeah, the only thing I can really add is, it just seems good at every point in the fight, and good on its own in the lane, and when I'm with it, it's usually our other mid plays him, or Mike sometimes. It's always a delight. I always feel like, oh yeah, we're gonna smash this lane. Super impactful character. Didn't really get impacted too much by what's gone on recently, and I think you could probably nerf him more, and he'd still be S tier. Wicked character.
Yeah, I think he's. I don't think he's dropped out of S tier personally. I still think his ultimate is so ridiculously good. It's mad how good it is. It's got chase and catch. It's got team fight stop. Like you can smash it into 7 from ages away, and then it just wipes his ultimate out. If you time it well, you can stop a Dynamo ulti. Like there's so many things it can do, and all whilst he's doing that, he's absolutely dominating from the skies. The one thing that I do think though is that like more and more people are starting to understand that you've got to get these characters out of the sky, and they're prioritizing them as like a number 1 priority. And I think I said it in my like Lash guide. Lash is so good at killing these people. So yeah, I think we can add him back to S tier, unless anyone's got any issues with that.
No issues at all.
Where's your cam gone, Gav?
The dog just pulled it up, trying to chase a piece of food or a ball or something around the floor. So I'll get it back in a sec. Yeah.
Now I've swapped all the nameplate. I literally halfway through whilst we've been talking, I was like adding nameplates, and it's gonna look super professional. And now they're all messed up because your cam's off. Anyway, we shall carry on. Okay, Hayes. I'll kick this one off. Whilst I was going to ask you, Gav, but I think you're busy with the cam stuff. Hayes, for me, I think I've seen a few builds recently that just very strong on her. I think they nerfed her sleep. And to be honest with you, I think the biggest nerf that came from Hayes and some of these characters is the backdoor potential. They've basically absolutely quelled her ability to be able to go in and backdoor that easily. She's got to get a lot closer to the towers, and I think this is having a big impact on her game. I don't see Hayes like running around backdooring and ratting as much as she used to, and she's having to deal with team fights. And because of that, I'm seeing her impact be less and less. But I will say, like I saw, what's the item that means that all of your shots are silence shots?
Silencer.
Is it actually called silencer? I thought it was, but I just didn't want to seem like an absolute idiot.
Yeah.
I've seen her build with this, and I think it turns her ultimate from being like this annoying, damage deal thing that you roll out of.
It's core.
Yeah, it's complete core, and it's like it's actually a very strong item build, and it kind of like works very, very well. But I still don't think she's like, changing the planet by ulting with this. So
they nerfed it as well. Silencer, didn't they, by 2 seconds? So...
Which I think is to stop it from being like an absolute.
Yeah,
like
I don't think it affects her too hard, because
No.
if you're getting silenced that close, you're gonna be using your survivability items instantly anyway.
Yeah, I think. They're doing some interesting things like adding superior duration, putting weapon damage on it, which I think really helps her for her ultimate. But again, it just turns her into another ultimate monster, and I think she's not adding too much in the game outside of her ultimate that makes me, and then like moving around the map looking for pickoffs. I don't know. She doesn't seem as impactful. Like she's very hit and miss. You either get someone that's like absolutely dominating on her because they've had a bit of a lead, or you get someone that is just really crap and is a complete cannon fodder. And I think that always to me shows a bit of a sign of an inconsistent character that isn't like next level. But yeah, Gav, you're back from your webcam debacle. What do you think of Hayes?
Yeah. So to add to that, there's just some other people got buffed and maybe are a bit better, and she doesn't answer some of the high S tier people if she's against them enough. I think, like against Talon, she doesn't do enough. The arrow, the just getting them down for a sec. Her stun's not enough. Her damage isn't enough. You wouldn't pick her over those people either. No, I don't think she didn't get any better from last time we reviewed her, and we weren't too nice then.
Yeah, the thing is like, I think because of the builds and the way that they're playing her, and I do still think the Sleep Dagger is like next level good. Even though they've nerfed it a little bit, like no one's reacting in 0.25 seconds in a like an online game like this to the point that it's reliable. And she stops any of these ultimates. She stops like momentum from many characters. Like, I think that side of it's really powerful, but I just think these people that are rushing like these crazy items, really the biggest thing you can do on her is go for silencer, and then all of a sudden you've got like a lot of team fight, and she becomes like a menace. But now that she can't rat towers, it's a lot harder to get to that stage. So I don't know. I don't really know where to place her. Like, I know we put her in C, but I've seen some people pop off on her, and I think there's worse heroes on the lineup now. So I don't know.
They
Like,
put her below bebop maybe for now.
Bottom B. I don't know, Mike. What do you think?
I feel like she's very difficult to play from behind. So the ones that go off, they're normally getting heavily fed in lane, like you said.
Yeah.
And again, it's the consistency, which if they're not super consistent, I don't think they should really even be in A.
No, I don't think she's A. She's like, she's bottom of B, maybe top of C.
Bottom of B.
Yeah. I'll put her bottom B now anyway.
Put her underneath bebop for now, and then she'll probably move down, right? She's not going to stay second in B.
No. I think bebop is has got more utility. The only problem with bebop is that you can counter him, but I don't think that's intended. So I don't know. Maybe we should drop him lower. But anyway, okay. Infernus. Gav, do you want to kick us off with him?
Yeah, I think he's in a similar boat, actually. I think for the role that he's supposed to achieve, he isn't quite as consistently impactful. He can be annoying, but he's quite easily countered too. I don't think he's running around, does enough in the laning the fights. I don't really rate his gun that much either. His left click. I'm trying to think.
I think
I still have the same opinion on his ult too. I haven't changed on that. But if I play against him at the start in the lane, normally not too worried, especially if I'm playing Warden. Then I normally go for him, to be honest. And then because I've got, but then again, obviously I've got my police shield then to stop his burning and stuff. But yeah, I don't really rate him so high. I would still say he's better than his though, but I'd put him in B.
Mikey.
I think the thing is, I don't think we see very good Infernuses. I think when you see a good one, you sort of like question how bad you actually think he is. I think his gun is really solid in lane. I think the speed on it makes last hitting really easy, and I'm not sure about. I think in a 1v1 matchup, he will just dive a lot. After he gets like a head in last hits, which he can do because obviously his gun's ridiculously quick. It's not amazing, but paired with someone else or an engage, then you've got to be aware of it, and you've got to have counter items, and it's a lot of I can counter it, but I need all of this stuff. So it sort of slows the enemy team down in terms of they have to buy some sort of survivability if they don't already have it built in. Obviously, some heroes could do just make him a lot easier to deal with, but I definitely don't think he's low in if you were to put him in B.
No, not at all. He's not low for sure.
So the biggest thing for me was that in lane they changed Infuser from having 75 spirit resist to 50 health. And I think that's had a massive impact on him because you can go in and get lifesteal off of your. I actually go with his 2 first rather than the bullets. I think people play, like you said, Mike. People play his bullets for harass, but actually they're for last hit and denies. And actually, all you've got to do is you get one in your 2 and one in your 1. So like the Batrider oil and the Batrider flame. And then you run around the enemies, and it does silly damage with Infuser. And I've been playing like that. Last game I played him, I think I went for like 18 for 6 or something. I did the most damage, and I essentially stole this way of playing off of someone that dominated us in a game. And I think actually his early game is a lot stronger than people were playing him as. And I think you're right, Mike. Like he literally, you cannot miss last hits and denies with him, which is super strong. You've got a great life-stealing, lane-dominating damage spells that allow you to get in and get out really quickly and leave a lot of pain behind. And then outside of that, you've got a level 6, which allows you to like tee kills up and like go for ganks. I think he's one of the strongest gankers in the game because he's able to like run in and get people. So like he actually ends up being really, really powerful because of that. And I think if you go a lot of lifesteal and tankiness, like you said, Mike, I think it becomes disgusting. And there's a few items in there like escalating exposure and and duration extender and all of these things that make his like burn damage do silly damage. And the crazy part about it, it's all AoE. So if you're actually able to get in and get out with your flame run, I can't remember the name of the spell, you end up just like completely wiping people. And I think the level 3 upgrade to that, or like the 3rd upgrade to his flame thing, is like 20-second cooldown reduction. You go that plus improved cooldown reduction, I think you're looking at like a very short cooldown, which allows you to clear waves massively and then go and like move around the map all the time. I actually think he's in between Abrams and Dynamo, to be honest with you. Like I really, really like his current play style. And I think, like I've said, like, this is going to become a recurring theme for this patch. It's like the tower change has had such an impact, and it's made these like wave push into team fight characters really, really strong. Like I think he's one of the winners of the patch so far. That Infuser change plus the tower change has given him a much better game. I think I'd like to play him a lot more. I've only managed to get like 3 or 4 games out of him in this patch, but I think he's extremely strong. And I think you're right, Mike. People aren't playing him very well, personally. Okay, Ivy. I can kick this. I can kick this one off here. Mike.
Yeah, I think her whole kit's amazing. Early game, pretty quick weapon for securing the last hits. Her three's just disgusting in lane. The fact that it's a heal and a save and a stun. It's 3 huge impactful things in one move. Yeah, it's just crazy. And that's level 1. It's not, I need to wait for this level. Yeah, you get a bit more heal later on, but very simple build on her as well. You get a lot of bullets, you get a lot of ammo, you get a lot of you might need a bit of speed when you're playing better players, but generally you can get by on very little with her. Her farming's crazy fast with bullet resist shredder, easy farm, easy towers, and she's still got that amazing getaway, and I don't think 10 seconds on the ult has done anything to change the frequency on how much they use it. I don't usually use it in a fight in terms of dropping bombs as often as
you
they
got
probably
1
would
kill.
want. Well, yeah.
I think you dropped me on them, and then
yeah,
that was your only kill that you've had with it.
Yeah, I just feel it doesn't really suit her playstyle because of the rest of her kit, but at least they're changing things up. I like that. I think it's a lot better than it was. But yeah, she's still really strong, really simple to play as well.
At least it's
not just simple build wise either. She's simple mechanically. Like her 3 and stuff, it's not hard to do. She's easy to pilot when you're flying in the ult. Her gun is easy to use. Yeah, she's wicked.
There's a few things that they need to change very quickly because they are broken. Like, number 1, why is it that you're able to carry someone with the urn directly with the ultimate from one side of the map to the other and drop it off and then capture the urn? That just shouldn't be in the game. That's insanity. Every single time that the urn spawns, you can go up and pick it up and go and get a free urn. Right there, that's a joke. That should not be allowed. There's tons of like weird interactions that they've got with like Seven's ulti. So if you cast Seven's ulti and then you pick him up and then you can drag him over the battlefield. Bebop's death beam, like all of these things you can that have got long channel times. You can drag them along. I think that's insanity. That needs to either they need to fix that or like they need to sort that out because that's just alone that makes her S tier. Like it's insane.
Yeah, I think that's pretty simple in terms of like if you don't allow it on people channeling spells. Yeah, it should solve a lot of the options.
Yeah, I can't believe that they've allowed it. I think overall there's a few big item changes that really had an impact on her. Number 1, Siphon Bullets now providing permanent health of people that you steal is insane. She just goes up and up and up in HP. I think it's amazing. And I think she's rushing it. Everyone I'm seeing playing her rushes it. I think it's amazing. I'm glad that they've changed the melee going through stone form, or like being cast at stone form and it's still going through, because that was broken. And I saw a few melee IVs that just did silly damage and you couldn't touch them. You couldn't touch them in return, so I'm glad they fixed that. And I think like the stone form stun, etc. People aren't playing that for the stun. It's an interrupt, so it doesn't matter how long it is. No one really cares. And ultimately, she retains her ratting capabilities because she's got such good escape. Unlike characters like Hayes, etc., who I think have been harmed by the tower change, I think Ivy's one of the ones that has absolutely excelled. And now that the towers do more damage close, and you have to get closer range, so she's now able to rat and get away where other characters no longer can. So she's kind of got the full kit. She's got damage if she wants it. She's got support if she needs it. She's got an amazing ultimate that's a getaway or a get in. It's got a very abusable traits, and I think she's really, really strong in the current tower meta, where she's able to go and smash those towers down with absolute ease, and can do it alone or with others, and buffs them whilst they're doing it. I think she's unequivocally S tier at the moment. Like it's kind of disgusting actually. So The only thing that she doesn't really have that much is like very strong wave clear. But really, I don't think she needs it, and she's still got like this sort of pseudo wave clear with like the vines that get placed on the floor. So, but I think her laning's amazing, her mid game's amazing, her late game's amazing. Like she's just absolutely a full package. They need to change something about that ultimate. It's completely bust. Okay, cool. Kelvin. I liked Kelvin until they killed him dead.
Yeah. He's just kind of lukewarm now instead of cool, isn't he? They didn't.
I get why they did it, because there was a build on the beam where you can go Mystic Reverb, increase duration and increase range or increase reach, and beam down the whole team, and they're all disarmed. The whole team's disarmed, and I saw it happen multiple times. It was obviously broken, but I think in reality, having a character that can beam multiple people with any form of like disarm slow or fire rate slow, and use Mystic Reverb is kind of like, well, like what are you meant to do against that? So I don't know. Like, he needed the change, but do I think it was too much? Probably. Doesn't feel as strong anymore. I tried playing him the other day, and it just was like not impactful like it used to be. But maybe that means they want him to be played on the grenades and be more of a support and healer. But it's not as fun though. I don't know, Mike. What do you think?
Yeah, I think his disarm was so strong, and when you take things like that away from characters, you've got to be very careful about absolutely destroying the character.
Yeah.
His one's always been pretty strong, but now that his slow's not a disarm, it's more. I don't know. I think in general, he's never been like since the nerf a game winner. His ult's still a good save, but it's generally just nothing special really. Still good movement obviously, but yeah. Relative to bebop though, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, Gav, did you say anything on him? I don't think you did yet.
Played with him quite a lot in terms of I've been in games with him, and recently the only thing I can really feel like is his dome is more of a save now, because they're at the risk, and like you say, he doesn't have. He's kind of lost a bit of comeback now too, right? Because he doesn't have the stun on the beam. It's not like, oh, don't worry guys, I'm going to be here for the late game because I'll have my beam ready to start and initiate. Yeah, no, he's not as good.
Yeah, I think it was such a heavy nerf, like not being able to, I mean, I understand why they did it, but I think going down to 60% fire rate slow might have been too harsh. I don't know, like it feels too harsh. Maybe 70% might make him feel a bit better. Or even like a mischance might be nice, or I don't know, like something like this. There's also a lot of characters that can just stun him out of the beam and it just stops it. The difficult thing is like getting him out of the air. He's another one of these characters that like floats around in the air and just beams on everyone. I don't know, like he just doesn't feel as impactful anymore. I think it was an amazing build and it was cool to see, and it was great at escalating farm because obviously you could beam three jungle camps down. You could go and grenade the creeps in the lane. It was like he was super good at ramping up farm. He could get across map really easily. I don't know. I just think they really killed his beam build. It still does damage. It's just not like this. I guess what they're going for is like, yeah, it'll still do damage, but it's not going to break the fight, which it used to. So I don't know. Like I think we rated him in A before. I think he's like top of B now.
Yeah.
I don't know, Mike. You think that's fair?
Yeah, I feel like with all the map changes as well and a bunch of nerfs on people, it's really just changed a lot of things. I think they could even revert some of these nerfs because of that. Yeah. Because changing those two huge things, the map and the players.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
And like I don't think there's any items that were really changed that made him go, oh my god, this guy's amazing now. Like it was all, it's all items that just didn't really have an impact on him. Yeah, I don't think he was great. I don't think anything that he's done is great, and I don't think the tower changes had a good impact on him. Okay, Lady Geist. She was top of A for us last patch. I played her recently. I think she's still pretty good. I don't think she's top of A anymore. I think a lot of these brawlery heroes can't do much in terms of the actual map because of the tower change. Like you can't like hide around a corner and clear a walker anymore, which means that Lady Geist is no longer as good as like some of these other ones that can evade. And I think the evasiveness is now massively showing on her. The lack of evasiveness is massively showing on her. So much so that I kind of like I'm getting to the point where superior stamina is like almost a must-have because she's got no movement, she's got nothing else. So I don't know, like
the lack of movement nerfs her ult a bit in the fights too, right?
Yeah, like
it's easier to manipulate when you're attacking her because she's not able to get away and stuff as easy. And
she hasn't changed really, and like there's some item changes that are a little bit nicer for her. For example, Infuser, but I think her laning's always been good, but her gun is not the best. But she is super strong in like a duo lane with someone with like an Ivy or something. But she just has zero push. And she's a bit like Necrophos in Dota, where like she's meant to take up like the dead lane and push down the dead lane and just like take up space and force people to come to you. But I just feel like she can't do that because everyone's so fast now, and she's just sort of like running around with a dress, like holding her dress up, like in the animation that her animations are really cool, but she's not taking any towers on her own ever. I don't think I've ever seen her take a tower in this patch at all. I don't know, Mike. Like I don't know if you've played her, but I know you've seen me play her and I've played against her.
Yeah, I thought because of the patch, like the towers needing people to be closer to the tower to rat it, gave her a little buff in terms of you can't just waltz up to her and kill her without the like pre-planning in terms of you need some sort of utility items or be so tanky that it doesn't even matter, and them being behind. I think the towers you have to be closer to them as well, obviously elongates the games so that she gets to that late game more reliably. Like, is it enough? Probably not, but she's better in that way. But I still think because the other heroes are getting like Infernus, Dynamo, I'd much rather have them on my team. So I think simply her downtime, because there's probably more fights going on because of the tower change as well. I think it's all just gonna affect her, and the mobility nerf, like you said. If fights are going on and you can't get there, how useful are you?
I just like she's always had really strong wave clear. She's got really good like jungle clear because of the grenade, especially when it gets leveled up. But I honestly can't put my hand on my heart and be like, oh my god, this character is just like smashing games up. Like I really like her in her full design. I just think that she needs something that can give her more of like the capability to either push or get away from some of these. Like she should be a brick wall, and she doesn't feel like a brick wall. She feels more like a relatively flimsy grenade thrower. And it's like if I wanted a flimsy grenade thrower, I would have picked Kelvin. If I wanted a tank, I would have gone, the copious amount of other like monster tanks that are in the game. So I don't know, like she just I feel like she's been left behind. I would say she's probably under Kelvin, to be honest with you. Like I think she's better than Bebop. Still, I think she offers more.
Yeah.
But I don't think she's got the kit on Kelvin. I still, even with his nerf, I think he's feeling a bit better than her. Like he's got more reliable stuff. He's got more movement around the map. He's got more wave clear with the grenades. It's the same wave clear, but without the health. Like the fact that she has to. What I don't get about her, that I think the kit is really illogical, is that in lane, you have to throw a grenade to do damage to yourself and do damage to the person that you're throwing it to. And I just think, why? Like, I get that they're trying to make it a gambit, but she hasn't got high health to begin with, so it's not really a gambit. It's just suicide. So I don't know. I don't even think in lane she's that strong anymore. And I think other items have benefited her, benefited other people. Okay, Lash. Again, just like last week, I'll let you guys go first. I released my advanced Lash guide earlier in the week, so I would dub that he is my he's my specialist character for sure. So yeah, like Mike, do you want to kick off?
He got a few buffs really, didn't he? And I'd say they're still pretty significant. So if he was top of S before, his ult's always annoying. It's always a huge fight changer. And essentially you just can't catch him. Like anyone good playing him, the endurance items just, it's crazy how easily you can get away on him. So yeah, I'd still put him up there.
Yeah, Gav, do you want to follow up on that?
No, I was just kind of thinking in my head if there was anything I could add or to go against, but no, he still feels great.
I think the tower change has benefited him because he's one of the characters that's easily able to get away. So I think he's able to backdoor and rat a lot, and push down a lane and play away from the team, and then easily get back to the team super easily. I think he's one of the characters that has benefited from this, and he's still super strong in the meta because of it. I think outside of that, Infuser, I've seen a few people start picking up Infuser. It's a really nice item to like do extra damage on his like big jump down, and also like obviously heal up a bit with the life steal. So I think the Infuser chains has helped him. And then obviously it's just Lash. Like the character's ridiculous. I think he dominates games where he's strong. The only thing that I would say is that there's quite a few level 1 heroes that are really, really strong at the moment. For example, Shiv being added into the game. I think Ivy's really strong. I think Grey Talon's really strong. I think Infernus is really strong against him. Like, there's a lot of these level 1 characters that are really, really doing a lot of damage. So for that reason, I do think he is in S tier, but I think he's below Ivy. I think Ivy is at the moment pound for pound the better, or dollar for dollar, we should say, or souls for souls. The better character. I think she's got more in her kit at the moment, and I think the ultimate with all of the abusive things that you can do with it, with other people's ultimates with the urn. I think she edges him. I think I still think he's a ridiculously solid character, and all of the items at the moment are really strong for him. But I just think Ivy's slightly better. I don't know, Mike. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. I think Ivy is just
one at the moment.
Even if you're behind, it's got cheap items. You get basic mag, Titanic. It's not gonna break your bank, and
you're back.
They're gonna have to deal with you with towers.
Lash is definitely up there with the style points and the enjoyability of his movement and stuff too, like traversing the map and stuff. It was incredibly satisfying. Really fun.
I think his knock-up being so early is really strong, but compared to Ivy, it's just...
He has like probably the best level 3, level 4 spike in the game. So his laning is like super... It's not like the worst laning in the world. It's not like Abrams or someone like this, where the laning's...
Right.
Or like Warden, where basically his laning is non-existent. But his laning is maybe level 3, level 4. He comes online pretty hard, especially if you get a couple of items. Like, for example, I've been going Infuser now instead of Mystic Burst, if I can handle not having the spell shield. Because obviously you get a bit of extra health with that as well, which is in effect a shield on either way. And obviously you get lifesteal from that, so you can jump in and then go down. I think he's still very strong in lane after level 3, and that timing is a window against quite a few of these characters that aren't very strong until level 6. So yeah, he's still very good in my eyes. He's just not the best anymore, unfortunately, because I love him to bits. And as they say, Jacob Lash is an asshole. Cool, McGinnis.
In the bin.
I don't think she's D anymore. I think she's
C minus.
She's a solid C minus. Yeah. The reason I don't think she's D is because like I've had a few run-ins with some of the more annoying players of McGinnis, and they, although don't win the game, they slow it down to the point that I want to rip my hair out. Whereas previously she was just absolute food. And I think people, there's been a couple of changes to her. I think the speed while shooting increased from 55% to 70 was cool. It allows her to actually move around with with her gun. And then I think, like, you know, the heavy barrage changing with a 35% slow, it means her ultimate isn't completely and utterly useless. Like, it's not awful. I do think she's a solid C minus. And I think we covered a lot as to why she's kind of rubbish in the game. And I think really, like, she's good at siege. She's one of the only siege characters that can get close in with the turrets, but she's got zero escape. So if you get caught, it's over. And I think characters that are on a knife's edge like that are never very good. And I don't think she's very good at clearing camps quick. She's not very good at clearing waves quick. So it's a real slow siege, and I think the game's way too quick. So I
gives up souls with the turrets if she's not good at positioning them.
Yeah, and that as well. And I just think, I don't know. She whenever I play her, I if I get her in lane, I'm like, yes. And I don't think there's any character that can be strong when you're, like, secretly in your mind saying, yes, sweet, I've got that lane one.
Yeah. Another thing to add too is because we've got the jump pads and stuff, it's a bit easier in some situations to get over walls and stuff too.
That's true.
Doesn't benefit her.
Yeah, it's true. The map changes have kind of, like, meant there's more nooks and crannies that you can get around and through and stuff like that. So yeah, it's true. Mike, any thoughts on? She's no longer D. I don't think she's dog shit tier anymore. I think she's C for crap.
Yeah, I feel like the speed while shooting increase. I think it's her stamina that's mainly the problem with her. Because she shouldn't really be leaving her turrets anyway if she wants to, like, 1v1 someone properly. But yeah, she's not really changed that much, to be honest. Having to get closer to towers as well to hit them. Yeah, she might have to put her turrets a bit closer so they get destroyed more easily, but in general, she's still got the same playstyle.
Yeah, I agree.
And some heroes just flat out counter her pretty hard.
I think she's not in the dustbin anymore. She's just very close. She's like teetering on the edge of the dustbin.
I think it's because she can't really choose where. She doesn't really
dictate,
make the play.
Yeah.
She waits for the play to happen into her, which is just against good people. They're not going to make those mistakes.
I played I think you were in the game as well, Mike, where we played a game with a McGinnis that was, like, just it was so boring because it just took so long to win. And I don't really like characters that don't have a chance of winning, but they just didn't delay the inevitable. And she even bought the item that, like, revived her. I can't remember what it's called because I've literally never bought it. But and I just think any hero that's got to go to the end of the game, just slowing down the inevitable win so much with every item pick that you can possibly pick. It's like there's no counter. Like what is she gonna do? Like, yay, I've wiped the team. Now I'm gonna pick all these turrets up and run them down the lane at lightning speed and drop them at their base. It's like, no, it's like it's impossible. It's just pointless. She's just not got it in the kit. Maybe that would be a better change to her, to be honest with you, is that she has X amount of turrets. And you can throw them in a backpack, and you can run them down a lane. You can drop them down, and then you can pick them back up, and you can run them down a lane or something like this. Like, and then all of a sudden, okay, then she's got some play to her. You know, you can, like, place the turrets around a certain area. I don't know. There's something that needs to change with her because this is boring. Okay, Mo and Krill, your specialist character, Mike. You want to kick us off with where he's at?
I still think he's really strong. I think his AoE disarm early game is crazy strong. force him to get items to dispel that, or just leave the fight in terms of using bullets. Getaway's still strong.
It's more than a getaway, though, isn't it? It's like
Yeah,
it's his all-encompassing, one-size-fits-all situation where he can get in, get out, move between camps, move between map, clear creeps. Like it's epic.
I think it needs a nerf by like about 10% at least
In speed.
In terms of damage reduction, because 80% I feel is way too high.
You mean when he's burrowed? Yeah.
He can still wrap because of that. It's all tied to the
right.
The cooldown's pretty long. Like you have to get the 5 points in the burrow to take like I think it's 20 seconds off it. But he's still really strong. His survivability in lane is really good unless it's a duo lane and they have some sort of Grey Talon paradox, massive burst combo. But I feel like he's very rarely falls behind, so he's consistent. So he's at least A.
I think.
But I think his farming puts him up you have into S.
I think you have to buy items for his farm in order to scale him over. I think there's a lot of people playing the game at the moment where they're like going just damage. They're like, oh, let's just get damage. I think when you play him, you optimize for the mid game in terms of mid game farm. Like you're the only Mo and Krill that I see buy Torment Pulse almost consistently on every game to get farm. I think the Infuser change has had a massive benefit to him because now it's like extra health that you can regen back.
Yeah.
And I think that change alone has now made him a lot stronger in lane. Slowing Hex changes have also had an impact on him as well, and slowing Hex isn't as strong as it was. And I just think all round he's super strong still. Do I think he's as good as Grey Talon? I don't think so.
He's in between Grey Talon and Bebop somewhere, and it just depends if you want to put him at the bottom of S or the number one in A.
Also, it depends on his role. Like Grey Talon, his ratting is nowhere near as strong.
Yeah.
He's nowhere near as much as of a engager.
The reason I think Grey Talon is super strong at the moment is that although he's not ratting, I don't think there's as much ratting that's happening. I think there's more engagements happening, and like I don't know, like he feels more like his laning's so much better, and he comes out of the lane so much stronger, and that allows him to join the team quicker, kind of thing. Whereas Mo and Krill, like I don't know, I still think he's ridiculously strong, and when you play him well, he's just like absolutely. He's zooming around the map. Like I've heard comments around him being slow, and like I cannot understand that concept. If you get Fleetfoot and Torment Pulse, you're just like absolutely nailing every camp and every wave possible. So I don't know. Like I think the way that Mo and Krill wants to play the game is still very strong. I would say he's still S tier, maybe bottom of S tier.
Yeah. I think also comparing it to Grey Talon, if he's going the burst build, which a lot of people do, over the damage, he's going to have to use that on farm. Mo and Krill, he's just running through it. Spin, Torment Pulse. Even the disarm does damage, so you can still use it while you're not engaging in fights. So it's the timings really, and I just think he's so consistent for the first, like all the way through the game, really.
Yeah, it's true, and also he's got like maybe he does edge it because he also has his like scaling ultimate that anytime you get a kill whilst the ultimate's on, it gets more HP, and it's like these infinite scaling spells are just ridiculous, and they were ridiculous in Dota, and they're ridiculous in this game as well.
Yeah, I think it's the leniency on mistakes as well. If you make a mistake with Grey Talon, you're pretty much dead. But if you make a mistake with Mo and Krill, you've got quite a bit of leeway to escape the situation.
Yeah.
You've got the heal, you've got the disarm, you've got the burrow.
Yeah, and I just think he does a lot of damage with Torment Pulse. Yeah, he's a really great character. I think he's still in S. Okay, cool. Paradox. So Paradox got pretty heavily nerfed. Well, I've seen some amazing Paradox players that like dominate the game. The issue that I have with it is like she was still relatively inconsistent, and in my opinion, she still relied on too many. She needed a lot of counters in the game for her to be extremely effective. And also, I feel like she was a real specialist at dealing with people coming to towers, because you could 1v1 people, you swap them into towers, you could like be an absolute menace with your wall. But the moment that you got into like this big team fight situation, unless she got her swap off, it's kind of like bebop, right? Bebop's got the hook, it's like, yeah, but the swaps, it's a small gimmick in this way where if you're not ready for it, that's on you. But they really nerfed her hard, and I understand why. And also kinetic carbine now doesn't affect channels, which I think was the right move, because it shouldn't have been doing that. Like, it interrupted like Lash's ultimate, for example. Yeah, so I think we put her as bottom of B last tier list. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts, Gav? Do you want to kick us off with this one?
I think she sits in C above McGinnis now. Honestly, I don't think any of her tools are anywhere near as impactful. I think she's got a sniper shot like Talon or Vindicta, but from Wish, the timer shot that she has. I just don't rate it anywhere near as highly. There's lots of characters you pick over. Yeah, I would put her in C as well. Honestly,
I agree on there's a lot of characters I pick over her, but I don't know. I do rate kinetic carbine a little bit higher for some things. Like, I don't think the damage is as relevant as she's not a damage dealer like Grey Talon, right, or Sniper or Vindicta. The slow is ridiculous. And the slow really interrupts. There's a lot. Like, I'll be flat out honest. Like, I think she's a hard counter to Lash, for example. She's kind of ridiculous against him because she can pop him in the air whilst he's like floating around, and he kind of just falls out the sky, and you get him on the wall, you swap him in. Real hard counter. I think she's good against characters like Grey Talon, and I think she's good against these kind of characters. I don't know, Mike, what's your thoughts about her?
I think her laning is still strong enough to put her maybe bottom of B, maybe ahead of Hayes, because her being a +1, it's like greater than the sum of her parts sort of thing. Like, she really amps the other player if it's like a Grey Talon or someone else that can change something with her. Her wall is really annoying if you actually play it well. I think a lot of people misplay it in lane. They don't use it to secure last hits or things like that. They just use it purely in
trading,
like cookie cutter sort of ways. Yeah. And again, she sort of has synergy in where like you can throw a 1 and then use your 3 when they're getting out behind cover, because the range on it is pretty big and it is annoying. It's just, does she do it better than other people? Which I don't really think so.
I think her and Bebop are in similar states of the game at the moment. It's like, yeah, okay, if they get their hook or their swap off, like, yeah, it's annoying, and you can pick someone off, but like, that's not a reliable way to make a character. Also, I don't like the fact that she can't swap teammates, so she can't save.
Yeah.
I don't really know why they did that. Like, I think it would have been cool if you could swap, and then also that means that you've got to be a bit more skillful with the way that you're playing her. You've got to make a decision. I don't know, like Vengeful Spirit, basically. But I think the thing is like there's been a few games where I felt her presence so much, but I think that's because I've been playing a lot of Lash, and I always play a lot of Lash. That maybe I'm being a bit biased here, because like I think she is super strong against him, but I never really feel the impact when I'm playing other characters because they're not going on her like that. She's one of those like people that you expect to be a squishy backliner, but she ends up having like 3,000 HP and she swaps you into a wall and just melts you. And for someone like Lash, it's just an absolute hard counter. So I think I would argue, yeah, I think she's got more utility than Hayes, but it's not far off. And I think, again, debuff removal also removes her kinetic carbine hit. So if you really are having problems with it, you can do that, and then you stop her little kinetic carbine into swap combo, etc. Like, if you're quick enough with it. So I don't know. Like, I'd probably place her here, which is kind of like in between what Gav and Mike said, because I'm finding a little bit of bias coming in there from my like little flashbacks of like having to deal with Lash.
We haven't seen a lot of them do well since the patch, though.
It's true. Like, I don't know. Like, I think there's obviously players that can play these, or most characters, like, amazingly. Do I think she's consistently smashing it? No. I think she requires a few set of circumstances in order to really. I think she needs a good lane. I don't think she's that great from behind. I think she feels way less impactful when she's behind. And if that's the case, then like that.
Her role, you need to be ahead to really be using it to its full potential.
And it's not like she can just like pop off map and go and like farm a ton of camps. Like, yeah, okay, she's got like the grenade, but she's not able to go and push a wave out and then go to the jungle because she would just get caught. She's pretty slow, so yeah, I don't know. Like, she's not. I still think she's low B is fine. Okay, Pocket. He had quite a few changes. One was like a quality of life line of sight change. I think that's fair. I think the biggest one that was changed, and also they had a big fix, which I was finding a lot playing. I played a lot of Pocket last patch, and the camera moving too slowly was super annoying, so I'm glad they fixed it. Valve, if you're listening to this, there's still an issue with it. If you go into the briefcase and then teleport, you still get the slow teleport with cloak. So that one's super annoying. Please fix that too. But yeah, the camera moving. Sorry, I was just about to go and read the patch note. The biggest change for me is like they've changed his base bullet resist from -15% to 0%. So now he no longer has issues trading in lane anymore against someone else's bullets. But they've reduced his base spirit from 0% to -15%. So they want him to be. They want him to not be able to trade with spells, but they want him to be able to trade with bullets. So I don't know, like maybe they're trying to make him a bit more bullety, but I think this is a really, really, really good trade because all of a sudden, if you're in someone's face, now you don't take an extra 15% damage than you used to with the bullets. So they have to expel spells on you, of which I think there's not many people level 1, level 2 that can trade a Pocket that's going in with his cloak and briefcase. I mean, the cloak and briefcase alone do silly damage. You can like quarter health someone with like one combo, and then you go in and shotgun him a couple of times and roll away. Like his laning is insane. So I think the tower change really harmed him though. His ratting capabilities are just like a lot harder. I found playing him in this patch, he feels weaker on the map because one of his core jobs is to play away from the team and go and wrap towers and push towers down. And he's not like Lash where he's able to really get away from right round the corner. And he's got like a good ranged gun like Lash does. He doesn't. He's got like a shotgun. So I don't know. The way that he wants to play the game is worse. But I do think that the previous patch they changed him and they made his ultimate do a bit more. Like it ticks longer, and I think that was a buff really. So I don't know. Like Mike, how are you feeling about him?
Yeah, I think the more people get used to how he plays as well. Again, debuff remover being the MVP. You walk out of his ult and use that.
Yeah.
It's a long cooldown. His whole healing reduction gone. And he's basically get in, burst him down. It seems like they're trying to put him more into a shooter role.
I agree with that.
Very strong 1v1 early game because you basically can't trade with him because he's going to make the engagement decisions completely.
It's true. Like
He's good in that regard.
he really dictates the pace of a lane, even not 1v1. The thing is like the infuser change helps him ish. It negates the half of the change they've made on the 15% minus spirit resist. But the biggest nerf to him didn't even come from that. It came from the fact that Ethereal Shift no longer provides 10% fire rate when you come out of it, and also the cooldowns increase from 25 to 30 seconds. Like it was like a core item of his, and I just don't. I think that nerf alone has like knocked him down a bit. So like outside of the lane, I don't think he's as strong as he used to be. Gav?
I think the thing that will keep him up on B though is you see all these tanks going up in the tier list. He's still going to have a role in keeping them in check for the first half of the game at least. But as soon as they get items, he's going to feel a lot weaker.
That's exactly how I feel. Yeah, that's how I feel when I play him. It's like he's amazing in the early to mid game, and then he just drops off a cliff.
Yeah, even now recently, one thing that seems to have gotten worse is it's not as much of a panic to get away and make sure you get healed off his ult. I found recently too. He's just not. Yeah, I think he's a nightmare to play against for the first couple of minutes, definitely at least. But then later on, once I've got faster bullet speed with Warden, or my health's up a bit with Abrams, and I can take what he's got, then he gets folded.
And I mean, slowing Hex is pretty strong against him, but I don't know, like yeah, I think where do we I think we put him in A last patch.
Yeah.
Oh no, top of B.
Yeah.
Top of B we put him. I mean, I could probably I feel like he hasn't really in that way, like he hasn't moved. I think top of B's fine. Like I think he's stronger than Kelvin now, but nerf. I think he's stronger than all the others that sit there. I don't think he's stronger than Abrams, so I think we can pocket in that little pocket of tier list juice. Is that even a thing? Okay, cool. So we're sitting on 7. Have they changed anything with 7? Yes, they changed a little bit. So lightning ball duration increased from 4 to 5 seconds. So good for farming, good for lane push, etc. But they changed the stun delay. So it's now 3.5 seconds. So the stun goes off 0.5 seconds faster. I think these are nice changes, to be honest. Gav, do you want to kick us off with 7?
Yeah, I think they did help him, but I still don't think he's a great character. And I think people that think he's overpowered are just experienced in bad games, or maybe not the highest skill games, because all of his toolkit, even though it's half a second quicker, he just roll away from his stun. It's still 3.5 seconds. Later on in the game, when you've got a few extra stamina bars, you can get around the corner quick enough. And if he's already thrown his ball, he doesn't have much for you. Similar situation, honestly, even though he does have his ball for farming, if I'm against him in the lane, I feel similar to how I do with McGinnis. Like you said, it's like, oh yeah, I got to play against McGinnis in lane. I feel the same with 7, honestly. I think he's shit.
Yeah. Mike, you want to follow up on that one?
I think his ult is just... No, against good people, it's just... You know exactly what's happening. It's never a surprise. It's never hugely impactful. It's sort of a deterrent, but you really need the right situation for it. The one good thing about him though, I think his stun is underrated in general, because of the delay on it. Very annoying against these heroes like for example, Mo and Krill, when you burrow, if you've got the stun on you, you're just out of it. People in the air, you can catch them pretty easily. His farming is pretty good with bullet shredder.
Yeah, Tesla,
but not basically. His ult being so underwhelming in general, though. It's a big chunk of him. and I think if he didn't have his stun, he would just be
D tier.
bottom of
In the bin,
he would be awful. But it is annoying. It is like noticeable when you see a good one.
Yeah, I've played against a few really strong ones in lane, but they still don't have much of an impact in the mid to late because the ultimate's so easy to counter.
Yeah.
And I think as well when you've got people knowing that you've got a 7 on the team and you've got to save certain stuns and certain things for him, he becomes negated. He's a bit like Bebop with getting debuff remover, right? Like ultimately, if you can negate the core of a character by doing multiple different things, the character's kind of useless. And I think you're right, Gav. Like I see people complain about him being strong. I think those people are the ones that haven't played in a game where people are coordinated in any way, shape, or form and go, okay, we just need to like not engage at this point, or we just need to stun him, or we need to this.
I spirit shield and then trap him when he's doing it. Like you've seen me pull many of them out of the sky before, right?
Yeah, I
And
mean, as Lash, like you just jump over him, grab him, and throw him to the ground, and it's like that's his ultimate wasted, and he's dead. More stuns.
I feel like an interesting change to his ult would be sort of like Earthshaker in Dota, where if there's more people near you, the more damage it does, or some sort of mechanic like that. Because how slow it is, it just really doesn't do anything with the amount of like corners you can hide behind and things like that.
Yeah, it's almost like
I think it really needs to change.
Yeah,
it's almost like there needs to be some, like sometimes Hazes is a wee bit too small and too fast, and Sevens is a wee bit too big and too slow, and the growth on it as well. You cannot run it without even rolling on Sevens.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
I think they should lean into the because obviously he's got that Tesla like more enemies closer together. It's better. They should just give him an Earthshaker like ult.
I think it's
punish teaming up.
It's a really interesting point because he doesn't punish people teaming up. What he does is like dominate a certain area to stop you from having a fight there. That's actually what the ultimate does. I can't remember the last time I died from a 7 ult. It must have been weeks and weeks ago. I mean, I've been in the beta for what, a month or something, maybe 2 months. It's been weeks and weeks ago that I died from his ultimate. I think the only people that he catches with it are people that are sleeping for a minute. You know, like sometimes it happens where you're playing, 10, 15 games in a row or something, and then one of them you're like, oh shit, I didn't remember that ultimate was going off, and I just died. Okay, great.
I rolled the wrong way.
Yeah, I rolled the wrong. I hit. Sometimes I used to happen where I'd like didn't know the map well enough, and I'd hit like a banner. I'm like, oh, like I've just rolled into this banner. And now I can't get away from this stupid ultimate. I don't know, like I actually genuinely think that he is genuinely like really low impact.
Yeah, he's the top of C so far. Yeah, that's right. I'd say.
I don't know why people think he's good. Yeah, he's got an amazing stun, but if you get all you have to do is buy extra stamina, a 500 soul item. That allows you to roll once more. You negate the hero's stun entirely, and unless he's doing it in a team fight, and most of the time you can get an ultimate off. You can get debuff remover; it wipes it off completely. It's actually disgusting. That item, in my opinion, MVP of the patch, as you said. Debuff remover is ridiculous.
I think in lane he's pretty good, like in terms of consistency. His gun's nice in securing last hits, but after that, it's just he's really got nothing.
I think it's his ultimate that's the real. Okay, hang on. Let me just rephrase this because I think I misspoke. He's got conflicting ideas in him as a character. Is he a support or is he some sort of damage dealer? If he's a damage dealer, why has he got Tesla bullets, an item I can just buy? And on top of that, like his stun is like really, really good for like securing, stopping people from chasing. Stopping people from getting away from being chased. Which leads me to think that he's a +1 at all times. But then he's got this weird, like sort of anti-engage ultimate. I don't know, like he's just super conflicting. I don't think his design really makes sense, and I completely agree with you, Mike. Like they need to rework the ultimate so it does something different that enables him to capitalize on the fact that teams are out of position or something like this. Like, I don't think it does the job of what it needs to. Yeah, you can combo it with some things, but I think there needs to be a character that is able to, and maybe he gets better later on as more characters come out, but there needs to be a character that can control a certain zone and stop people from getting out of a zone. Like, not like Kelvin, but a little bit more like Mars in Dota, that can control a certain zone and stop them from getting away. I think that would be pretty cool. Okay, Shiv. Oh my goodness me. That character, when he first came out, the first game I played, didn't play a bot game, went straight in, went 15 for 2. Broken.
Yeah, you're in the lane with me, right? And
Yeah.
everything I shot, you just finished. When you looked at them, they just all died. Yeah.
Yeah, you just bought extra charge. It was an obvious buy, and you just killed everything. It was absolutely insane.
Yeah, all I can really say on him is that when he first came out, he was crazy. So much so that even our friend that just picked him up and dominated games with him.
Yeah, shout out to Steve.
Yeah, shout out to Steve. And then when they brought the changes in the balancing for him, I haven't played him, but I played with him, and he seems to be a pretty inclusive fit, and I think he's quite strong. So I know you guys know more about him than me.
Yeah, I don't think they've nerfed him hard enough. I think it's the serrated knives that are a problem, and also I cannot believe they put an execute in the game when I think it was the wrong decision to launch him this early when there are probably other characters in the pipeline. I think they launched him because he's exciting and he's cool, and he's one of probably the best character design in the game to look at. I think he's really cool. But the problem is that you've given an execute in the game. He's always going to be ridiculously strong because of that. Like, he counters half the lineup because they're tanky. It's ridiculous that there's an execute in the game. Like, I don't know what your thoughts are, Mike.
Yeah, I think a percentage executes are crazy strong. That is a reason why Grey Talon's up there. And the fact that he's got it on, he doesn't need to sit in a corner and cross his legs. He can just jump at you. So it's gap closer as well if he's chasing someone else. The reset on it is, I think, just silly.
He's got a double gap closer because he's got his 2 and his execute.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even need to buy Blink Dagger for him to come online. It's just he's online out of his toolkit. And I think the knives do so much damage.
I think the charge up as well on his rage is way too easy to achieve.
Max,
You should not get as much scaling from, nowhere near as much scaling from hitting creeps. They're everywhere. You're going to get that bar full, and then he just goes nuts.
I don't think it should even be on creeps.
Yeah, I don't think it should be. You can get it off punching the vending machines as well.
Let's just think about his kit, right? Because let's just break the kit down, because obviously we haven't really talked about him too much, but because he's brand new. Like, he's got a shotgun that has an alternate fire that does even more. He has a ridiculous movement spell that also does damage in an AoE as he goes through it. He's got daggers that shoot across map, literally across map, instantly, and do dot damage and impact damage. Not one, both. And then he's got an execute. Like 28% execute if you level it up. Which I think in the late game, so to kill someone dead 28% is just insanity. And it's not like you said, it's not like it's like close range. Like, you can cast it a while away, and you can also then blink in. So imagine if you got Warpstone, and your 2 and your execute. Like, he covers so much. I think he's broken still. I think he's fallen off in terms of, like, I play games and people can't just, like, absolutely roll their face on the keyboard and win, which they could previously. I'm pretty sure my mum could have won against him, and she's absolutely terrible at computer games. I just honestly, I think he's still super strong. Do I think he's as good as Ivy? No, but I never play a game where I'm like I'm not worried about him. Even from behind, he can farm a little bit. He's got great farming mechanics. He's got great wave push. He's got good escape. He's just dominating the map, and everyone's scared of him all the time. The rage mechanic is stupid. I have no idea what they added.
Yeah.
Like, he's got all of this kit and a mechanic that no one else does, where he levels it all up because he hits a few creeps. Like, I think conceptually, he's got way too much. It's almost like that someone liked the character design and just was like, oh, you know what, I really like this guy. He's cool. Let's just give him everything he ever wanted. I think he sits purely here, like it's, and that's after the nerfs. When the nerfs were there, like he was
playing a different game. Yeah.
He was playing it. It was almost like you were playing like, I don't know, like a FPS, you know, and you're just like two-shotting people. It was stupid. It was stupid. Yeah, I don't know. Anyone that's ever got an execute in a game like this isn't Dota. Like an execute in Dota makes sense because there's plenty of opportunities. You gotta like this. There's so much to that game that requires it. I think launching an execute now makes it tough. But I do also like that they've nodded towards Axe, and he looks exactly like Axe. Yeah, it's cool. I really like the character design. There's no shade on that. Like he's very cool, but he's broken, completely broken. They need to fix a lot about him. Cool. Vindicta.
Oh.
Vindicta. Mike, you've played her probably the most out of us three. What are your thoughts on the patch? They didn't change too much about her, if I remember correctly. Let me have a very quick look, though. No, they changed two things. They just changed her stake. It does overall 0.5 seconds less than what it previously did.
Yeah, I think having to get close to towers obviously will impact her, but she never really was a pusher anyway. I think debuffer remover takes out two of her moves that she is going to combo. She's going to latch you and then throw your bird out. You clear both of them, and that's 50% of their spells gone. So in that way, she's pretty weak against people that buy the right items. But I think her mobility in the air is better than Grey Talon, but obviously he's shooting in a cone. I think her lane's pretty safe still, but I don't think she's as strong as she was.
I think slowing Hex change has made her stronger, but I think the tower change has killed her dead in terms of like impact in the game. Previously, she was able to like get close to towers and not get close to them, but like be around the region of the tower and do a lot of damage to them and able to get away. Whereas now she has to commit. I think she doesn't have that in her arsenal anymore, where she can go and take towers, which leaves her as purely a backline damage dealer. And I think her wave clear has always been relatively weak. Her movement has been okay because of the flying thing between waves. Between lanes, sorry. But now that she's not really got tower push, I think it has a big impact on her in terms of placement. Like, I think I would pick Dynamo, Infernus, and Abrams above her in a game now. And when there's a better execute on the map, which there is, a more reliable execute that doesn't require an aim shot to get, which is Shiv, I don't know, like she goes down in value as a counter towards some of these characters now. Like I don't think she's as strong anymore. So I don't know, like I think she's like bottom of A, to be honest. I think she's dropped a whole tier, personally.
Yeah. I feel like because a lot of the health items as well give you like 10% damage, 20% damage. People are just going so tanky, and they've still got the damage to back it up. Yet she can't really build tankiness because she's so far away, so it's not that useful most of the time on her. So the others can close the gap and just shut her down completely.
Gav, what are your thoughts?
I'd say that's fair. It's rare you get her completely controlling and consuming the game like she did in the prior patch. And I think another nerf for her is how much more people are aware and take people out of the sky as quickly as they can with like knockdown and things like that now too. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Under Abrams.
I think so. like she's still got a really reliable CC. She's still got the execute. She still does a lot of damage, and she still is she
You can
becomes
still
a
lock people down.
focus. She becomes a complete focus for the team. You've got to pull her out the sky, or you've got to like go and deal with her. But I think that's it. Like she's not adding as much to what she had. Like she added a lot more to the game previously, especially when she was able to push towers so much. So yeah, I think that's fair. Viscous. I'd like to start this one. I really loved him. I thought he was an amazing character when they launched him. I think they over-tweaked him, and he's now in the D tier. Here, let me explain. So, they did actually change the range of his cube, which I was extremely happy about. I think that was I think it needed it. But that was it. That was all they did that made him feel great. And the rest of it has been put him in the dustbin as much as physically possible. His laning went from pretty good. It was never, oh my god, this is unbelievable, like Shiv. It was pretty good. And now it's in the dustbin tier. His Google is reduced in terms of the size. It does less damage. It's got a less cooldown. His gun is almost useless. You basically hit about 3 things with it in lane, so he's not a good support character because he's not able to secure last hits or denies. So he doesn't do damage and harass because he can't hit them with his bullets. He can't get any creeps. Where's his timing? So all he's got in lane is to just spam a cube to heal someone up. Okay, great. I think he has been nerfed into the dustbin, and I think currently he's probably the worst character in the game. That's my massive opinion. Mike, I know you've got something to say about this guy as well. So we both enjoyed him a lot when he first came out. He was good fun.
Yeah, I think it was just too many nerfs in too short a window. Obviously, he's got no lockdown. These OP. The fact that they think some of his spells are OP or the problem, he's lacking in other areas so much that they need to be strong to compensate for it. Because as soon as you nerf his spell damage, his gun, like you said, is pretty awful. And if he's got no lockdown, so he's never really going to get that many hits on you.
No.
His ult being nerfed as well when it requires you to go in. It really does just take so much away from him. And I'm pretty sure most people are probably just going to build him as resistant debuffers and AoE and lean way more into the support role of him than he was initially. His punch is still pretty strong early.
But the thing is like that's fine if he could support well. Like he's got 0 stun, 0 reliable slow. So what has he got to support? What, 1 save? I don't think that justifies a character. And like, yeah, okay, you can use his ultimate to like get some stuns and stuff like that. And I've seen some interesting stuff where people are blinking in on his ultimate, or using other items to like max the ultimate. But you're still talking about a longish cooldown. Really, most people use it to get away because he's not got anything else. He does no range damage. He does no gun damage. He does no magic damage. He's just... I think, if anything, he's like a free bouncy castle. Like, every time he pops that punch, it's like, woohoo, that's it. That's all I get out of him in terms of the game. They've nerfed him into the dustbin. Go on, Gav.
No threat to him when you play against him either, is there really?
No. Even
if he's got his ult coming in, when I play Warden, I just roll and then trap him, wait for it to stop, same with the cube. He's dropped all. You guys have hardly touched him since, right?
I've played maybe 3 games with him. The second game I played with the new patch, I was like, this is a waste of time. They've killed him dead. And I tried one more time, and I just was like, he's dead. He's gone. He's bye-bye.
Yeah. Stick him in the bin then.
It's a shame, really, because he was the most interesting character in terms of like fun. And I think they've gone down the route of like burying the fun rather than tweaking it and making it more interesting. Like for example, like I think characters like that shouldn't be nerfed in their damage. They should be nerfed in how they deliver it, rather than like and like for example the cube. Like I said, maybe there should be a longer cooldown, but then also a bigger upside of like distance. Like I don't know, like there's no gambit there. They just nerf. There's no.
Yeah. I think 2 seconds off his one, and I think it was like 10 or 15 damage. It's just too much all at once, and they should have done maybe a partial nerf and seen where he is instead of just putting him completely in the bin.
He's a little bit like Bristleback in the sense that when you see them coming, if you just ignore them, they do about a quarter of the damage. And like I kind of feel like if you just ignore Viscous in game, it doesn't change anything. Like that's it. Like he doesn't. If you just completely ignore him in every way, it's the same as if he was there. So it's pointless. Okay, Warden. I have quite strong opinions about him. Gav, you play him all the time. You can kick him off.
I've liked him this patch. It's character building playing him every game though, because it's hard in the lane. Especially because I end up on my own a lot in the lane, and then it will be against Ivy or something, or Shiv, and you just have to like knuckle down, grin and bear it, try and deal with it, remembering that in about 20 minutes, when you've got your rate of fire up and you're with your buddies, it's all going to be fine and you're going to get some kills. I feel like he's got a little bit better, but I don't think he's as good as Abrams, even though I do enjoy playing him more, honestly. I'd say he's better than McGinnis. He's better than Seven. I would put him somewhere around the bottom of B.
Okay, Mike.
Yeah, it's a strange one because obviously the stamina removal is better because it's an AoE on his one. I think level 2 now.
Yeah, tier 2.
Taking it off his 3, I feel like they've probably done that because in lane it probably is really, really strong. But now it just feels like you're never going to get it off against like good players. He takes a while to get going. His gun is absolutely awful in lane.
Yep.
His scouts really well late game, but again, that's late game. How are you going to get there if your gun's awful? And it's not like he's clearing waves with his one. Certain matchups he's okay with his barrier, like Grey Talon. He can maybe tank a bit of a burst, but in general, his ult, you've got to. There's only certain situations you can really use it to its max. You can't really start a fight with it because it takes so long.
You got to pop it around the corner. Yeah.
They can all hear him calling out his own ult, saying, "I'm coming in," and everyone either cheeses it because the cops are coming, but really strong if you get it right. If you get all the items and you're steamrolling, yeah, most characters will do that, but it's the consistency in which he gets there I don't think is good enough to put him in a high tier.
Yeah, I think his laning is just in the dustbin. Like these recent changes have just look. Mystic Reach has always been good on him in terms of like making it more consistent to get your like binding word off. But that plus also the other thing is like it doesn't really have too much of an impact on his general play. So it's like it's a very I'm trying to secure this one move.
Yeah.
And same with slowing Hex. Same thing. It's like it doesn't really build up to much for him. Like it's not like unbelievable.
It's very core.
It's just buying it purely for the fact that you're trying to get a spell off. Like I think that's insane that you've got this one character that like you need to spell. But the thing is I think the reason that he is so strong, previously has been strong, is because his scaling's so good in terms of like weapon damage, and he can just like stand up to people and just like slap them in the face. And really, I don't think it's his spell casting that makes him amazing. It's like the fact that he can stand up and hit him with this high scaling weapon damage. He's got no wave clear. I played him the other day where I got dominated in lane, which happens often, by the way, because he's laning so bad. And then I bought monster rounds to go to the jungle to clear waves quicker because I was so behind. And I was like popping my ultimate to try and like catch up in the creep camps underground. And I farmed my absolute nuts off, and then came back to the game. Yeah, okay, I did a bit of weapon damage, but we'd lost. Because, I've spent the whole time farming jungle camps, and he can't really push a wave out. I also think the tower change has had a huge impact on him. He's never taking a tower, ever. Which means that there's a massive part of the game that he's just not really going to ever be able to have much impact on. So he can't push a wave out. He can't take a tower. If he's behind in a lane, which he often is, he has to resort to jungle camps and safe farm. How are you meant to catch up and get into the game as a character like that? I think they would have... Honestly, they didn't need to change any of this stuff. All they needed to change was his weapon scaling. If they just nerfed the weapon scaling a little bit and kept his early game a bit better, then fine. They have to make a decision on it. Do they want these characters to like pop off at the end because they farmed well and they've done well, but they have a really tough laning phase, or do they want characters that are more? They all sit around the same timing window or whatever. Because like to me, this makes it that his laning's so bad that he's never going to get any timings. I don't know. I think he belongs here. Here. I think 7's better personally. I don't know. Like, tell me if I'm really off here.
I feel like 7's slightly better in lane. Yeah.
Well, and he's got a reliable stun.
And again, the MVP destroys him. It gets rid of his one damage reduction, gets rid of his stun instantly, and they're always buying slowing hex. So you're clearing that as well.
Yeah, you're clearing two things at once. Yeah.
It's just too tough for him in the laning phase for me to argue against it. Like, as fun as he is later on, like you say, when you've got a friggin' mental strong gun, but it's a really tough task to get to that point.
It's annoying as well because he's another one of these characters that I really like the design of. Like, there's many in the game that I don't like. Obviously this is pure personal preference. It's got nothing to do with balance or tier, but. Like I'm not a big fan of 7 or McGinnis, for example. I think they're like not great design. But I love Warden. I think he's really cool and really interesting. And you never see characters like that in these sorts of games. You see the pseudo Asian kind of like samurai hat and the turret person with like engineer clothes on. You see them everywhere.
Yeah.
I never see a policeman, especially not like an old English Bobby. I think that's really cool. And I really hope that they change that to make him more viable.
I was going to say as well, the fact that his 3 doesn't do any damage, like it's not even a dot, like while you're, or like a slow or anything, it's just a completely useless spell for the first, I don't know, 7 or 8 minutes, and useless spells make it very linear to play him.
Yeah. Okay, Wraith. In my opinion, on Wraith, that she is the tower impact has had a big impact on her way of playing. Mike, do you want to kick us off? I think Gav kicked us off with Warden, so your turn.
I think certain matchups she can absolutely dominate. The fact that she's got a TP, she's a bit like Pocket, where she can choose the engagement herself. When she does have the upper hand, she's got a ulti to lock you down, and steroids, you're dead. All very synergistic. She can probably do quite a few different builds in lane, but her cards are really strong as well.
Even
you
with
can't
the
just
nerf.
ignore them.
Yeah.
So the fact that she's got all those steroids and AoEs, her farming's not going to be affected. She can push really well. She can escape really well. She's basically got all of it.
She does, but I just think in the current way the map is being played, she's not as strong as she was last patch, because she's the same hero. Like, they didn't really change much, right? Like, they didn't really change much. What they've changed, apart from like a little bit on her stun, like 2.25 seconds. Like, I mean, come on, it's barely anything. Although it might have an impact on the damage that she does within the ulti. But she ultimately hasn't been changed too much. But the map changed and the towers changed, and the amount of games that I used to see, you'd have a team fight. Who was at the back? Who was at the back of the map, backdooring and ratting your towers? Wraith. I haven't seen anywhere near as many people be able to do that because they know they have to commit a lot harder in order to get into those tower areas, into the walker areas, to backdoor or to rat or to split push or whatever you want to call it. So for that alone, she's not able to play the game the way that she used to want to play it. And yeah, she's got an amazing kit. Like I think she's serious. I think she's top of A, but I think she's been knocked down from S just because the map changes have stopped her from playing the way that she wanted to play anymore. And she's not the best wave clearer. So really, she was like a real specialist at going down the lane, 1v1ing anyone that turned up, picking off walkers, and then just like going away and doing it again down another lane. She can't do that anymore. Well, she can, but it's like way harder. So she has to commit a lot harder, and she gets caught out a lot more. I don't know, Gav, your thoughts?
Fighting internally if she's better than Dynamo overall or not. That's where I'm kind of putting her, before or after Dynamo, at the top of A, because what I think is making me teeter ahead of Dynamo is that she's great in more pairings in the laning phase. She partners up well with people in the laning phase, and overall she's still really tough. Like you say, it wasn't 0.25 is not dramatic at all. Yeah, I think A tier. She's in a lot of games still too.
Yeah, Mike.
I think the people in S just do a lot more than her.
More than her, yeah.
So yeah, I do agree that she's between Talon and I don't know. I think Dynamo
is better.
His farming is really strong, yeah, and his ult has the late game locked up.
Well,
really.
and also his laning stage is so strong with the heal.
Yeah,
he's got a save
and disjoint against Wraith as well, and
now
Infernus ulti.
Now you've got this like dynamic where people can't push these towers as much. He becomes more valuable because he's able to siege with his heal, right? So I don't know. Like I think he is better than her. I don't think he's better than Infernus though. I think this is the right place to put her. Okay, Yamato. Final character. We've been talking for nearly 2 hours, lads. This is ridiculous now. Yeah. Could have been playing, but we're just chatting.
We're going to go and play after.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so D tier. No.
Goodbye.
Yamato. So what were the core changes? I think she just an increase in melee damage. And then they changed the way her flying strike works. So not really too much. I think Infusers had a big impact on her. I think she's a little bit better in lane than she used to be. Problem is she's still too abusive. Too easily abused. I think her ultimate, again, a bit like Warden's. It's like I'm about to use my ultimate. Everybody, get ready. And then that's pointless, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yep.
Everyone just runs away. She gets nothing out of it. She needs a life steal on it. Come on, Valve. Like, give her a life steal so she can, life steal back up to full at least. Like, I think it's pointless in having this ultimate where you just wait, delay it, and then just kill her. I do feel bad for her. I think she's. I actually think McGinnis is maybe better than her. I don't know. What do you think, Mike?
She's so low that I don't think it even matters in terms of how she's like in with the dustbin men. So she's like, it doesn't really what piece of trash you pick.
Yeah.
You're going to have a bad time. I'd put Viscous ahead purely because he's probably more fun.
And he's got a good save.
Yeah. And at least he's got some interrupts in his ult.
They can heal your bodies.
What interrupt has she got? She's got like her one is essentially a awful grey talon. No traps, no lane control.
No movement from between waves and lanes.
She's got catch,
let you
but
know,
who doesn't?
You roll around the corner, she follows you around, then you press trap with Warden, then you roll a bit, then her ult's done, and she's dead.
Her ult needs to be instant, I think, and they need to rework
Yeah.
it in some way. It's way too.
It's too
They
abusive.
Slow.
should give her an ult like Akuma from Street Fighter, where she just blinks behind him, poof, and
Also,
cuts him up.
the other thing as well is like this tower change really hasn't made it easier for her. I think it's made her worse. Like at least I saw her rat a couple times previously. Now it's nothing, and I think there's no items that were launched outside of Infuser. Now there's a bit, it gives her a bit more health. I don't know. I just think she's really, really, really weak at all stages of the game. She has a move that you have to stand still in lane, and it's super obvious she's casting it, and you just move. Like, yeah, I've seen some great people like play her in lane, and they do a lot of damage. But like, I think we played a couple of maybe 3 in the row, didn't we, Mike, recently? And yeah, it was annoying, but we won every single one of those lanes, hands down, because she's a one-trick pony. I agree. I think maybe okay, fine. Yep. Dustbin tier. Cool. Right, that's it. We've been talking for 2 hours. I'm sure everyone's super fed up of listening to our voices. If you haven't already, check out my advanced Lash guide. Shameless plug. And that's it. Like we'll be here in a couple of weeks once there's been some more changes and update the tier list with the meta. But yeah, for now, any last words, lads? Gav?
Thank you very much. Been great. And I look forward to missing my ult with Abrams many more times tonight.
Mikey?
Yeah, basically like Yamato's so bad, she makes McGinnis look good.
Wow, that's saying something. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye bye.